IT code. Today on IT Contact we're going to look at the process of rolling back an upgraded Windows 8 machine to the previous operating system, which in this instance is going to be Windows 7. First of all, this is a risky process that I have to say I can't recommend. It will be altering several Windows, the Windows installation itself, and if that was corrupted during the process, then you could easily have a completely unusable computer. Also, I discovered in trying this earlier that the Windows 7 computer that I rolled back to, because of this process, did have several bugs and faults, with folders not working correctly, not being linked to the right location, and also the copy of Windows couldn't verify itself as a legitimate copy. Given these issues, I don't think this is the best way to go back to a previous operating system. But if you want to have a play around with it, by all means do it within a virtual environment. So first off, this only works if you've got an upgrade copy of Windows 8. So this particular computer here was previously running Windows 7. And just to verify that, if you go to the local hard disk, which is C, and if it's an upgrade, you should see the windows.old folder. And this folder basically contains all the same files as you see here, but they're for the previous installation of Windows. So these are the Windows 7 installation files and folders within the windows.old file, and these are the current Windows 8 files and folders. So the first thing I want to do is insert an installation disk, because we need to use a command prompt that's outside of the operating system. So I've already inserted a copy of Windows 7, and we'll just reboot the machine, which actually we'll do off the machine start, and just insert Control Delete, or even insert Reset. Make sure you've got your DVD driver as the first boot device, and when you see that message, just press Enter, and it will boot up from the installation DVD as opposed to from the hard drive. Anyone who's installed a copy of Windows as a clean installation before should be fairly familiar with these steps, and it should all look fairly familiar. I'll just change the time and convert to format to the United Kingdom, click Next, and normally obviously you'd click Install Now to install Windows, but we don't want to do that. We just want a command prompt, so you click Prepare Computer, and it will search for Windows installation. If you're running a multi-boot system, obviously it will find more than one installation of an operating system, and you just select the one that you need to roll back, which would obviously in this situation be Windows 8. If you get the recovery message option, just click No. And here we see operating system Windows 8, the partition size, and the location, the local disk. Now if you remember, with inside the operating system this was actually disk C, and it's now changed to disk D. Do make a note of that letter D there. It may be different with your computer. When I did this through earlier for the screenshots, it was actually E instead of D or C. But just make a note of it, and whenever you're referring through the process to the drive that the installation is on, you use whatever that drive letter is. I'll just highlight that and click Next, and we should get to the recovery tool. Once or twice it's tried to do a startup repair recovery instead, and you just let it run through that, and then you come back to the recovery options. The one we want is the command prompt, and this is where we'll be doing the bulk of our work. So first of all, we need to go from X sources to our D drive, to the hard drive where our copy of Windows is installed, and then we just follow these commands, which you can see typed up on my blog to reference to. So I'll just create a directory for the current Windows 8 folders to be put into, and then we just start moving those files and folders from their current location into the folder we've just created. If you've done it successfully, you'll see this, it will say one directory moved. And we'll just keep going through the process. It is a little bit time consuming. You'll notice for this line I've used quotation marks. That's because the file name has a space in it. So whenever the file name of the file you're moving has a space in it, just put it inside quotation marks and then it will work. See, we don't need to use quotation marks with the users folder, because that's only one word. Now the next folder we have to move is program data, but this folder is protected as hidden and read only. So first of all we need to strip away that protection. Note that program data is two words but written as one, so there's no space with program data. And once we've applied those attributes, we can now move that folder. If you don't remove the protections from that folder, you won't be able to move it. So now we've moved all the current Windows 8 installation directories out of their current location and into a folder called Win8. And now we need to move the Windows 7 directories from their current folder of Windows Old and straight into our hard drive, into the locations where our Windows 8 folders previously were. See Windows.old, that was the Windows.old folder that we saw on the desktop. Again, remember those quotation marks when you need them. Again, the windows.old program data folder is also protected. Oh, spot the mistake there. Easily done. That. Didn't use a semicolon after the D. Oh. Then we just need to repair our boot sector. Isn't strictly necessary, but may just smooth things on. And that's everything done. Just click exit and restart. At this point, ignore that, just let it run through because you want to boot from the hard drive. A good sign that we're seeing the old Windows 7 logo as opposed to the new Windows 8 one. And here it wants to check the disk, which I recommend you do. And this can take quite a while depending on the size of your hard drive. feet up or go and make a cup of tea. So here we are, back at the login page for Windows 7. So previously we saw Windows 8, so we have successfully rolled back at this point to Windows 7 Home Premium. It always amuses me that we see this particular message. Don't be too alarmed by a completely black screen. I did this previously to eventually ask for a reboot, so I'll just give it a minute. I think in this case we'll just perform a reboot. Start Windows normally. So this is just the start of really the problems that I've discovered with rolling back from Windows 8. It really isn't designed to do it. Oh, that was a blue screen there. Start Windows normally. I've never known Startup Repair to actually work. No, it doesn't seem to want to run. Well, this really just emphasises the point I made at the start of this video, and that I've made on my blog. Running this recovery process to roll back from Windows 8 to Windows 7 really doesn't guarantee a stable operating system. You can see from the screenshots on my blog that I did manage to get back into Windows 7. Yeah, I've tried it again here for this video and it doesn't seem to have worked. And even if it did, I imagine I'd encounter the same problems that I did with the copy that I ran through for the screenshots, with the problem with links being broken. It couldn't find where the File Explorer was, it couldn't find Windows Internet Explorer, it had lost the activation information, so thought that it was an illegal copy. So really at this point I can't recommend trying this method of rolling back to your old operating system. If you really don't like Windows 8, I would back up all of the data, the personal files, pictures, whatever that you've got on your computer, back them up to DVDs or an external hard drive, and then I would perform a clean installation of Windows 7 or the other operating system that you want to use. There's too much uncertainty around just rolling back to your old operating system, and I'm sure if it was a completely stable and useful way of getting back to an operating system, Microsoft would have actually added the functionality in themselves to the actual operating system. And also I'm so glad that I use a virtual environment at this point, because if I was at this situation of staring at basically a blank screen with my proper computer, I'd be pretty upset right about now. That's interesting. Appears that some remnants of Windows 8 has taken over and is trying to repair the computer. As you can see, that's the Windows 8 logo. Very strange. Well, there you go. It doesn't seem to be working at all for me. I'd be interested to hear from anybody that's tried this themselves on their own virtual machine, and see if they've got further than I did, or if once they got back into Windows they had a more stable operating system with less issues. So I'd be interested to hear from anyone that's got to that point. It's always interesting to learn new things. Anyway, that was IT Cul-de-sac, and that's how to, or rather how not perhaps, to roll back from Windows 8 to Windows 7.